What's the word? Moon's back again. You already know high stakes takes cooking for NFL Week 17. Let's go. Hit it perfectly. Yo, I could not believe it. Came down to the Raiders last week. Hit another plus 2,000 odds parlay. Shout out the kid. Give it up for him. Ooh, thought it wasn't gonna work for a second. Hit is all over. Let's go. Shout out Solo. He's been hitting a couple two teams over the past couple of days. Been cooking. You already know if we walking into him. Shout out Darian. Seen him a couple times. That boy out there cooking also. So, hell of a show ahead. We got the best matchups throughout every position for this week and picking every game. We got the stats down. We didn't put in our locks yet. We're gonna do that live on the show. Let's see. Try to switch it up a little bit. Maybe we hit the parlay. Let's get it. So, and we're gonna end the show with some soccer locks. It's been up and down in soccer lately, especially with the COVID. Like, come on. COVID's been going crazy. Omicron out there wild, and hopefully you're out there bobbing and weaving, dodging it and shit. So let's get into it. Shout out JB on the beat. That boy steady cooking. Hey. Make sure you liking, subscribing, and tell all your friends about it. Make sure you locked in. Make sure we get into this money. Let's get to it. So NFL Week 17. Ooh. Do we want to start off with the best matchup? Nah, we'll get to that right after we pick every game for this week. Huge implications throughout almost every game this week. Fighting for playoff position, fighting for wild card. Let's go. I was scanning through the injuries. Carson Wentz just activated off the COVID list. Yo, to try to sift through, see who's in, who's out. Eric Fisher, questionable this week on the line for them. I'm thinking them at home versus the Raiders. You go over here and look at Vegas. Dealing with injuries left and right. Waller out. Their defense, how are they going to stop Jonathan Taylor? Carl Nassib out. Will Compton out. Anwasa out. That boy. And he's a beast. I'm pretty sure that's the rook. Abram. He was just recently put on IR. I'm thinking this game, Indy, they're going to handle business. Defensively, over the past few weeks, been solid versus the rush. So if you force Carr to pass, he's probably going to throw a pick. And only letting up 195 through the air over the last 3 weeks. Indy's defense been locking in. I don't know if they'll cover that -7. Might be a push. So to guarantee us winning money, add it to the parlay. Indy -320. And with both defenses playing well as of late, even though Raiders are missing some key pieces this week, especially Denzel Perryman. If he's out for this game, granted he was activated, but still questionable with the ankle injury. If he's out, Indy will probably cover, but obviously all doesn't come down to one player, but the accumulation of all the players missing, Indy could very well dominate this game. But Indy at home this year, only 4-4. Raiders on the road, 4-3. Don't play too bad on the road. And Raiders defensively, they're 19th versus the rush, but over their last 3 games, only letting up on average 79 yards per game on the ground. Playing solid, and through the air, only 176 and sit 11th versus the pass. So Raiders, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. Probably a lot of 3-and-outs and punts. Indy, they play better at home. I would take them with the spread, but I think in this one, each team dealing with their COVID and their injuries, even though Indy not as bad, and thankfully getting Wentz back, I'm locking in Indy -320. And I'm going to take the under 44.5. That'll probably drop to 44. Let's look at the live odds right now. Oh, it's actually pushed up to 45. That's surprising. Because, yeah, Raiders, they throw a lot of long balls, try to go deep. But if they can't get that run game going, Indy, they're going to take away the rock. So, I don't think that hits the over. And now that it's at 45 even, it's even better. So the next one we got, Buffalo at home versus Atlanta. And what's kind of a trend this week is huge spreads. Like you see right here. Atlanta, plus 14.5. Tampa Bay, minus 13.5. Oh, Shorty's going live on IG. Oh, tune in quick. Fucking Arizona, plus 6.5. Even though they're traveling on the road in Dallas, they're a monster. They're a monster at home. But I think in that game, I think Arizona might cover. Pats, minus 16.5. Ridiculous. San Fran, minus 12.5. That's crazy. Only 3 games, under 6 points in the spread. That's insane. So, it's going to be a sketchy week. There is some points there to cover, so let's see what games we can pick with the underdogs covering. Could it? Even though Arians, he did pass his COVID test, he will coach for the Bucs tomorrow or today, whichever day this drops. But he is gonna coach, and could that just mean people are gonna slam them minus 13? Now, them being minus 13.5, actually, that hook, do we take the Jets here? Jets are at home. Granted, they have a shitty defense. That's kind of wild. But Buffalo, at home versus Atlanta. Check out the injury report quick. And we're doing this live, so might have to chop this up a little bit. So Buffalo, ooh. Tre'Davious White, damn. That's a huge loss for them. Emmanuel Sanders, questionable, but guess what? Cole Beasley activated. You're going to have Davis out there. Bills, they dealt with their COVID shit. Seems like they're past it, right? Knock on wood for that. Hopefully. And we look at Atlanta, how they dealing with it. Damn. People left and right on the COVID list. Atlanta, on the road, I think this is one where Buffalo, even though they're 4-3 at home, half their losses have came at home, they've been locking in. I mean, shit. Versus the rush, they've been pretty shitty. So Cordarrelle Patterson, solid play this week. But versus the pass, sit first versus the pass. Atlanta's going to want to try to throw the ball. And you never know. Atlanta could come out. Matty Ice could look like his old self, have one of those random games where he throws for a 300 on the road versus that secondary. Probably not likely. But that huge spread, a little sketched out about it, but we going to lock in Buffalo. Minus what? 14.5. That's 2 whole touchdowns. 2 whole extra points. And granted, you have to make the extra point. It's no gimme. Well, fuck it. We'll rock with it. I think they'll come out, handle business, especially versus an Atlanta team who is looking forward to the draft, trying to boost their stock in the draft position. And the NFC South, besides for the Bucs, and the Saints would be a hell of a lot better if they actually had a fucking quarterback. But that's a pretty shitty division. It sucks. We used to be a pretty solid division over the past, few years? But come on. Panthers, Saints, and Falcons. Straight basura. Straight garbage. It's tough. I'm hoping the Panthers get top 5 this year. Get that boy Pickett out of Pitt. Let's go. Could it be our next quarterback? Could we keep Cam just to run the rock on short down situations next year? We definitely ain't gonna pay him fucking $12 million to do that. And that's my dog, but that's just the facts. So let's get into the next game. We got Chicago at home versus the Giants. If I was looking at the Giants, Chicago favored by 6. Did that shift? Still by 6. Oh. Let's go. Who Chicago got out? Peters questionable. Hicks questionable. Goldman questionable. They're going to need them boys out there. Justin Fields questionable for the game. Probably not going to start. Saying Nick Foles is going to serve as the number 2 with Dalton starting. Dalton could play decent enough for them to get the dub. But versus the Giants, where starting Glennon, granted they have Barkley, who could do some things possibly. He's not a bad play in fantasy this week. I wouldn't start him in DFS, put any money on it. But Chicago, 25th versus the rush, letting up 140 yards per game on the ground over their last 3. Saquon could be an easy game where he performs pretty well. But the Giants, only 18th versus the pass, 26th versus the rush. I think Montgomery, he'll get going, get out there, get nifty. And I think the defense at home, they're only 2-5 at home, but Giants 1-7 on the road. I think Soldier Field, I think they'll lock in. Fans get out there, give them something to cheer for. Come on, Dalton. Can you put us in numbies? Giants defense, not that good. This is probably 37 is the total in this one. Let's check. Yeah, it's down to 36.5. Probably going to hit the under, but maybe a pick to the house or 2. Block punt, block field goal. You never know what could happen. I'm staying away from the over-under in that one. I will take Bears -6 to cover, which missed extra point. Not going to fuck you over in this one. Pretty solid bet. What's the next one we got? Jets at home versus Tampa Bay. We talked about that one a little bit already. Jets 4-11 on the year, but 3-5 at home. 3 out of their 4 victories have came at home. But defensively, locking in versus the pass, only letting up 196 over their last 3. But versus the rush, sit 30th all year, giving up 173 per game over their last 3. Come on. Ronald Jones, especially with Fournette out, gonna have a hell of a game. One of my biggest and one of my main starts of the week. Make sure he's not on your waiver wire. If he is, people ain't doing their due diligence, and you need to lock in. It's fantasy championship week. We'll get into that quick. Shout out Joe. That boy came out, got the job done. Yo, his team went off. When you have T. Higgins, Cup, and T. Higgins doing what T. Higgins did last week, 43 points. Was he the top scorer? Top scorer? Damn. 207. Well, actually, we'll give him 208. In a PPR league when there's no other extra little shit added for like a first down or completion or rushing attempts, which I'm going to fuck with next year. We'll boost them points a little bit. I see what Bowler was talking about. But I may not boost it that much, but half point for a carry, that's solid. I'm fucking with that. I'm already starting to think of how I'm going to switch up the league a little bit, make it more interesting. We might even add 2 more teams to the Goodfellas League. Let's fucking go. And it's a battle between two dogs from back in high school in the championship. And in my league, I like giving third place. I like having them battle, right? If you miss out on the championship, if you get right there and lose that conference game, you still have something to fight for. Third place, you battling for entry for next year, or you can take the 50 this year. And that boy almost didn't play. He went 9-5, sat 4th. Hell of a fucking year. And he could have been in the championship in the next league too. Let's look at that quick. Scheming Willie Beeman. Let's go. We in the chip. Taking on Danny. Come on. That's crazy. Championship versus Danny. I got the squad. I got the squad. Press Greasy. Let's go. Prescott finna turn up. Cup, Debo, Aaron Jones, Ronald Jones, Travis Kelce, Sony Michelle, Huntley. Come on. Come on. Lamar on the bench. I'll keep him now. I won't even drop him. He's been turning up for my squad all year. Let's go. I'll keep him on the bench. Pittman, Darrell Williams, Ogunbowale. Now, I will say, he's a sneaky play versus New England this week. Now, New England, solid defensively, and they're at home. But versus the rush, only sit 23rd this year. And over the past 3 weeks, giving up 146 yards per game on the ground. Come on. Ogunbowale, Jacksonville playing from behind. If you're sitting in a PPR league, catches there all day. And should have some decent opportunities to run the ball well. So, sneaky player this week. But this Jets versus Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay dealing with so many injuries. People questionable. People on the COVID. Coach dealing with COVID. Hasn't been at practice all week. And granted, they're professionals, right? They're in the NFL. It's not going to make a huge difference. But see where the money's going. It's probably around like 70%, if we're being honest. But I like the Jets. I like the Jets covering this. Bro, I'm trying to tell you, we get nice with it. We fully locked in. Exactly 70% of the consensus pick is Tampa Bay minus 13. Come on. Come on. I can't wait till this pod gets noticed by someone with some stature, and I appreciate all the fans listening and those who talk about it today, boys. Like my homeboy who got an Uber ride, right? Was talking to the Uber driver about sports betting, blah, blah, blah. Hey, you should check out this podcast. Goes, looks it up, already subscribed. Shout out that dude, give it up for that, man. It's early, and I appreciate it, man. So, for this one, I think since we was exactly locked in on that, we're going to take the Jets. Plus 13 in the hook. Now, if that drops down to 13 or even pushes up to 14, I love it. I love it. It's a clean, even spread. But 13.5, I'll take it too. One of my locks of the week, I think this is going to be one of those sneaky ones where they're going to play them closer than expected. So the next one, New England versus Jacksonville. Is there even too much to say about this one? Jacksonville 2-13. Another top 5 pick in the near future for them. 0-7 on the road. New England 9-6 on the year, but a surprisingly 3-5 at home. Come on. 16.5 spread. Not playing that well at home. Can give up some yards on the ground, but sitting third versus the pass. Gonna create some turnovers. Jacksonville 24th versus the rush, giving up 150 over their last 3. But versus the pass, their secondary's only giving up 156 over their last 3. So the secondary's locking in. Damian Harris, questionable, but should play. He's a guaranteed lock this week. DFS, fantasy, all that. Lock him in. Anna Marockwit, New England, minus 16.5 at home. I'd be a little sketched out about this one. Don't add it to the parlay since it is such a big spread. You hardly ever see this, but I'm going to stay away from it, even though we did take the Bills minus 14.5. The next one we got, in what could be the game of the week, Cincinnati versus Kansas City. Cincinnati plus 5. Now, Cincy at home, only 4-4 on the year, but facing the Kansas City squad who's reeling as of late. Kansas City 4-2 on the road, 11-4 on the year. They're battling for that top AFC spot. Over under in this game at 51, and I'm pretty sure it shifted. Actually, still at 51. I think this is one where it's going to be a defensive battle. You got Cincy, who is not as good in their secondary, 29th versus the pass. But versus the rush, sitting 4th, only giving up 91 yards on the ground over their last 3. I think Kansas City, if they can't get if Tyreek ain't 100% back, which last game they probably just held them out because they dominated Pittsburgh. But Kansas City defensively, 25th versus the pass, only 20th versus the rush. But over their last 3, only giving up 218 yards through the air, which Burrow, coming off that 500-yard game versus Baltimore, I think him at home in this huge game, I think he's going to come out smoking. Joe's going to come out there balling. I think it's going to, over-under, I'll stay away from it because this could very well be a defensive game. And oh shit, take a closer look at that. -3.5 now for Kansas City. I think that's money. I think Kansas City wins this game. 4-2 road record. I think they get the job done, even though they're missing Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They're gonna have Hill out there, and Kelsey. Come on, missed last week because of COVID. You don't think he's gonna be back out there balling? He's gonna be absolute monster this week. I would take him in DFS, but way too expensive. Lock in Kansas City -3.5, and I'm gonna stay away from the over/under. Ooh, for the next one, Washington versus Philly. Now this one definitely had to have shifted. No way, Philly's still -3. Yeah, now -4.5. Bruh, Philly's gonna dominate this game going on the road. We got Antonio Gibson now ruled out for the Washington football team. And Philly dominating as of late. And especially on the defensive side of the ball. Only letting up 72 yards on the ground over their last 3. Sitting 9th versus the pass and the rush throughout the year. In Washington, 30th versus the pass, giving up 290 over their last 3. Hurts, guaranteed lock this week in all fantasy leagues, including DFS. He's my DFS start of the week, especially because Washington versus the rush as of late, giving up 156 yards over their last 3. And Philly missing Miles Sanders. You had, Jordan Howard banged up. What are they going to have? Boston Scott, Ken Gainwell. I think Hurts will get out there, drop back the pass. There's definitely going to be at least, 3 to 5 design runs for Hurts. I think he gets out there. He gets boogieing, locking Philly -4.5 on the road. And this is where I'm locking them in. 5-3 road record. Washington only 3-4 at home. So Philly travels well, playing good defensively as of late. Guaranteed lock -4.5. And with the over/under at 44.5, staying away from it. Let's get it. Next game at 1 o'clock, we got Tennessee versus Miami. Now this is one where I think this is a catch game. Miami, 8-game win streak, 7-game win streak? It's crazy. It has shifted from +3.5 to now Miami's getting +3. I heard Gumpy, shout out Pat McAfee show, I heard Gumpy talking about Miami money line. I think this might be the week Tennessee randomly gets the victory. We got Tennessee 6-2 at home. Only 2 losses this year at home. Miami only 3-4 on the road. But defensively, as of late, each team locking in with the over/under at 40. I'm going to lock in the under 40. And Tua, still not sold on them. Their run game, probably not going to get going. Tennessee, 2nd versus the rush throughout the year. And over their last 3, I looked at this stat, I said, only giving up 42 yards per game over their last 3. Locking in. I think Miami, it's going to be a tough battle. It's going to be close. Tennessee -3. They'll probably win by a field goal. So I'm going to lock in Tennessee -160 and take that under 40. Let's go. But damn, Miami through the air on defense, Only giving up a $122. Damn. This is going to be a straight defensive battle. Under 40. Guaranteed lock. Probably stay away from winners. Is the best case scenario for that game. The next one we got Baltimore at home versus the Rams. Now this game, Baltimore shifted from +5.5 to now +6. At home, I think that shifted because Lamar probably not going to play. He is questionable. And if he gets ruled out, you might even be able to get +7. But with Huntley back in the lineup, back off the COVID list, you seen how he balled out against Green Bay. I think he continues to ball out if he starts in this one. You got the Rams defense, 22nd versus the pass, giving up 258 over their last 3. So I think there's going to be opportunities there. You got Marquise Brown, questionable. He should play, but if he's out, I still think you got Mark Andrews. You got Bateman, who's been solid as of late, caught a tutty last week. And Devontae Freeman out the backfield could possibly get some things done. And Huntley, he can use his legs too. So he's a solid start. I'm starting him, as you can see, right there. There he is. Huntley, I think at home, what's the weather looking like? Humidity 80%, 62 degrees, 5% precipitation. Let's go. I think that's going to be actually perfect recipe for the over, especially with Baltimore dead last versus the pass, giving up 313 yards per game over their last 3. Continue to be garbage, and that just attributes to all the injuries they had this year. But with the over-under, it probably shifted, huh? Still 46.5. Give me the over. And with Baltimore +6, give me them +6. If Lamar gets officially ruled out, probably shift to +6.5. Maybe even get it at +7. Lock that in also. Let's go. Let's go. Hell of a week here. Hell of a week for the boys. 4 o'clock games. Let's get into it. Chargers at home versus Denver. Chargers getting Eckler back. Getting Mike Will back. Jared Cook, he's out on the COVID list. Wouldn't really worry about that too much. Getting Eckler back. Seeing what Justin Jackson could do. Hell of a start last week. Hopefully you locked him in. Listen to the pod. But getting all their dogs back. Keenan Allen, he's going to continue to produce. I think their defense this week, taking on Drew Lock, who turnover prone as I've seen a player in a while. So he's guaranteed to turn the ball over. And have Bosa coming off the edge. That boy's a beast. He's guaranteed to have a sack, if not a strip sack. I'm not sure the odds on that, but lock it in. And for this game, I think Chargers come out and dominate. It was at -7.5. Is it still at? Still at -7.5. Give me them -7.5 to cover. And with the over-under at 45.5, I'm going to stay away from it. Denver's defense versus the rush, not that good. Chargers defense, been lacking as of late, giving up a bunch of yards. So maybe Denver puts up some points, keeps it close. It is a division matchup, but I think Chargers, come on. It's January football. Happy New Year, right? Happy that ass. Continue to grind. You just another day. Let's get to it. But 2022, it's gonna be beautiful. That ass. Bunch of big things playing. Make sure y'all stay tuned. Let's go. Let's go. But Chargers, January football, playoffs right around the corner in a couple weeks. 2 weeks till playoff football. Let's go. Let's go. But I think Chargers lock in here. -7.5, lock them in. Next game, 4:25. We got Dallas, -6. Did this shift? What's the word on this one? Now -6.5 at home versus Arizona. Arizona, shaky as of late. But one of the surprising things, they got a 7-1 road record. I don't think that's going to matter much in this one. Dallas 5-2 at home. Arizona's defense playing decent versus the pass, but have been giving up some numbers on the ground. And with Dallas, you're seeing how they've been locking in, creating turnovers. Kyler hasn't been the best with the decision making as of late. I think Dallas causes a few turnovers. I think they cover the 6.5 at home. But Arizona, this is one of them games where I think everybody's gonna be on the Cowboys. Arizona playing shitty, but 7-1 on the road for Arizona, that's hella surprising. I think their defense will travel. They've been letting up 233 yards per game over their last 3 through the air. So maybe Dak turns up. I think this is one of them games where it's gonna be tough to call with the spread. I think Cowboys get the job done, but Cardinals, they could keep it close, but I'm gonna still rock with Dallas minus 6.5 with the over-under at 52. Come on. This is game of the star. Do we take the over? Let's lock in the over 52. Let's get it. If it shifts to 52.5, I'm gonna stay away from it, but 52 even, I'll take it. 21 points in each half. That's 3 tutties and some extra points. Let's get it. You ain't never seen 3 tutties before. Let's go. Let's go. So the next one we got my squad, my sorry ass squad. This shit. Fuck it. I'm still rock with y'all. New Orleans at home versus Carolina. Carolina plus 6.5. Where they at though? Where they at though? Where they? But 6.5. This is a game that just don't even matter. You got New Orleans 7-8. I think they knocked out of playoff position. If not knocked out, they obviously ain't gonna do shit if they do make it. Carolina 5-10, knocked out of playoffs last week. Cam, yeah, Sam Darnold start. I don't know what the fuck anymore. This is a game where Carolina, yeah, actually some key stats for this game. Carolina defensively, through the air, solid. Taysom Hill back for New Orleans. I think he will be a good play this week. If you're in a 2 QB league, you're getting points for rushes, play Taysom Hill. Because Carolina, solid versus the pass, but with so many people, we'll take a closer look at that also. So many people on the COVID list and all that shit. But look at this. J.C. Horn, which he's already out for the year. Hopefully, he's out there healing up. That boy's going to be a beast. But Stephon Gilmore, P.J. Walker. So, if Sam shits the bed, if Cam comes out, throws a couple picks, who we throwing in there? Who we got? Hassan Reddick out. Davion Nixon out. Big Phyllis Hoskins out. We even missing our center. Zane got put on injured reserve. It's wrap it up. Tie it up. It's over. New Orleans clearly covering minus 6.5. And it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. If you could bet a Sam Darnold pick, actually, look at the live odds on that right now. It sucks. You're going down a little rabbit hole. Minus 170 throw a pick. Guess what? Lock it in. That's just going to be hectic. And Taysom Hill tutty, TD scoring 2 or more for Taysom. Plus 750. Lock it in. Lock it. Let's go. Carolina 5-10. Come on. Next game we got Seattle. Another game that don't fucking matter. Seattle. You know what? Moving right along. Right past that game. On to another 4 o'clock game. And the last 4 o'clock game for this week. 17 already. 49ers at home versus Houston. Garoppolo out. Trey Lance stepping in. Shanahan said he's been playing well in practice as of late or over the last month. Houston letting up 259 yards through the air over the last 3. 130 on the ground. 30th versus the rush, 19th versus the pass. But the 49ers defense, I think, is what's going to get them this victory. They are minus 12 though. So 12.5 now. I think they cover that. But Houston, Davey, Douglas Mills, the Rook out of nowhere that's been completing and starting and competing for that starting job. Yo, come on. Him and Brandon Cooks, could they find something? The 49ers not the best versus the pass. They do sit 7th, but over the last 3, letting up around 240 240 through the air. So maybe they put us some points, and they've been covering as of late. We were one of the players in one of the pods to pick them last week to cover versus the Chargers. We did say the Chargers, you never know what you're going to get out of them. And the Texans come out and straight ball. Come on. So for this game, I think people are going to be all over the Texans. I think this is a game of pick 'em here. I'm going to pick the 49ers minus 12.5. I think they get out there, get the job done. Trey Lance comes out balling, and Debo and Ayuk gonna have hell of a day. Sunday night game. Now, Kirk Cousins, he's out on a COVID list. And Thielen, he was just put on IR. So Minnesota sitting at 7-8. It's a wrap for them this year. Green Bay, 12-3, 7-0 at home. Favored by 13 points in this game. That's a tough spread to cover. Their defense is going to have to lock in, especially with the over-under at 42.5. The defense is going to have to lock in. Minnesota getting Dalvin Cook back, but with Cousins out, you're missing Thielen. I even think the backup quarterback is on the COVID list too, so I think they're starting Sean Mannion, something like that. Not the best case scenario right now for Mike Zim. Come on, M. Zims. It's all right. Get him next year, bud. Come on. Hang in there. But does Minnesota randomly cover that plus 13 spread? Even against all odds, Minnesota's defense, not that good this year. 27th versus the pass, 28th versus the rush. Green Bay, over their last 3, solid versus the pass, only giving up just over 200 yards over their last 3. But versus the rush, giving up 166 over their last 3, only sitting 18th in the league throughout the year. Does Dalvin Cook get boogieing, get nifty? Does he find a hole or two, break off a couple 20-yarders? Maybe. But I think Green Bay, 7-0 at home, favored by 13. It's a tough spread to call. I think Minnesota plus 13. That might be decent, but without their starting quarterback, without their backup quarterback, that's just too much. And they're already out of the playoffs, basically. Let's get it. Packers, minus 13, dominant victory at home. Got all their dogs out there. And gonna have all their dogs back. They had Jair Alexander just activated off IR. Once they get him back, once they get Darius Smith back, once they get that boy Bakhtiari at left tackle, once they get that boy back, it's OVA. Make sure you go and check out I think it might be 5, 6, 7 episodes ago. We said Packers when they were plus 750 odds, lock them in to win the Super Bowl. That's still my pick. I think they're even right now with the Chiefs at plus 425. Let's see this. Both even at 425. I'll give you a closer look at that. And the Bucks right behind them at plus 550. But injuries starting to pile up for the Bucks. It's going to be tough for them. And besides the Bills, Indy, if their defense locks in, Wentz starts playing out of his mind, maybe they get to the bowl. But I think a guaranteed Super Bowl pick, Packers, Chiefs, like the old days. I think it's going to be a hell of a Super Bowl. And imagine that. I think it very well could be. Mahomes gets beat by the great Tom Brady, the absolute GOAT. And then the next year, the next little step down. But just to show him that there is levels to this shit, getting beat by Aaron Rodgers. The year he had COVID, come on, crown him now. So, the Monday Night Football game, a battle. Two teams. Ooh, the AFC North is a battle. You got Pitt, 7-1. Big Ben playing with that hip injury. Ray McLeod came out and said that boy could barely even bend down to tie the old shoelaces. Said he had to wear the Velcro joints. Come on, your hips hurting him that bad, and he's out there playing in his last season, giving it everything he had. That's that gladiator mentality. Let's give it up for that man one time. One more time for him. That boy Big Ben. He might be into some business early in his career, but that boy's a baller, tough as nails. So I'm thinking at home versus Cleveland. Cleveland favored in this one. Definitely need to look at the injuries. You look at Cleveland, Troy Hill out with the knee, Ronnie Harrison ankle out, John Johnson out. That secondary is looking depleted. Kareem Hunt, questionable. Okay, Malik Jackson, questionable. Tat McKinley put on IR. Then come over here, look at Pittsburgh. What's Pittsburgh up to? Bud Johnson, Wormley, Schobert, Mollett. Okay, Presley Harvin, that punter. That boy out there balling. McFarland out on the COVID. Bush out. Dotson, Banner, Finney, Ebron. There's just too many. It's going to be tough for them to cover. But I think Big Ben's been going against all odds all year. 7-1 at home, even though he does have a tie versus the Lions, who they almost guaranteed that number one pick. Unless they do beat Seattle this week. Guaranteed. Guaranteed that number one pick. I think Pittsburgh at home, against all odds, Big Ben doing it with the hip. He said them shits don't lie, motherfucker. Let's go. Pittsburgh plus 3.5. Did it shift? Let's see if it hit him with the little nifty shift. Let's go. Still plus 3.5. It's the Monday Night Football game. He just loving ball. Lock him in, plus 3.5. Let's go. That wraps up our locks. Now, the best matchups of the week. We're going to run through these teams, and then we're going to hit the soccer locks. Make sure this episode's out first thing in the morning. Let's go. Let's go. So, quarterbacks. And we're going to give you numbers on DraftKings. Now, each week we try to shift it. Give it a little shifter. Alright, so best matchups of the week. We're going to go through the quarterbacks, numbers off DraftKings. Mahomes at Cincy. Cincy 29th ranked. 29th ranked versus the quarterback position. Mahomes 7,800 on DraftKings. Huntley, all Lamar. And that's just if Lamar plays. Huntley 5,600. That's a steal right there. Versus the Rams, who ranked 22nd versus the pass. We've seen them versus the pass as of late. So lock them in. Taysom Hill versus Carolina. Carolina 21st versus the run. We've seen them as of late. And Taysom, only 6,000. Solid sleeper right there. Jalen Hurts, my absolute lock of the week, sitting at 6,600 on the road at Washington. Washington ranked 30th versus the quarterback. Guaranteed lock. Now this is next one. Stafford, 7,100. Now 5,000 more than Hurts. And Hurts lock of the week. But Stafford at Baltimore, if Huntley could put up numbers, it could be a shootout where Stafford throws for like 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. But if it could happen, it's going to be this game. Baltimore 32nd versus the pass, 32nd versus the QB position. So those are my quarterbacks for this week. Running backs, got Ronald Jones, 6,300 on the road versus the Jets. Guaranteed lock. Jets 30th versus the running back, Dave Montgomery. That boy David Montgomery. 6,500 at home versus the Giants. Giants 26th versus the running back position, guaranteed lock. Dev Singletary. That boy been producing through the air and on the ground. He's sitting at 5,400 sleeper versus Atlanta. Atlanta 22nd versus the rush. And not good as of late. Mixon, a little bit more expensive. 7,500 versus Kansas City. Kansas City 20th versus the rush. Cincinnati's going to win. He's going to have to produce. So a little bit more iffy one. But that's like a boom or bust type player. And Ogunbowale, a little sleeper this week. 5,100 at New England. New England 23rd versus the rush. Not good. 23rd versus the running back. And not good as of late, as we covered when we were going through the games. So Ogunbowale, if you need to throw someone in there, find someone who's not that expensive to free up some money in another position, lock him in. In the same game, we got Damian Harris. Gonna be an absolute monster. 6,600 sleeper versus Jacksonville. I think people might be sketched out. He had a hell of a week last week. I think people might be sketched out because he is questionable. But versus Jacksonville, if Jacksonville could somehow keep it within like 2 touchdowns, I'm thinking Damian Harris definitely in tune, locked in for another 2+ tutty game versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville 24th versus the running back. And my last lock, little sleeper for the running back position. And this is one where versus Buffalo, people are probably going to stay away from Atlanta players. But Patterson can catch the rock, and he's going to run the rock at Buffalo, who ranked 17th versus the running back and give it up 146 yards on the ground over their last 3 games. I think Patterson, this is an opportunity where Buffalo is definitely going to score at home. So Patterson out the backfield, probably going to score, but guaranteed to get those catches. Now, at the wide receiver position, we got Jalen Waddle, 6,700 at Tennessee. Tennessee, 26th versus the pass, 31st versus wide receivers. Solid play right there. Watched him last week, cut up the Saints. Him and Tua, if you aren't sold on Tua, one thing you can be sold on is his connection with Jalen Waddle. That's just money right there. And Waddle is an absolute monster. The next one we got Devontae Smith, 6,300 at Washington. Now, 30th versus the pass and 30th versus wideouts. I think Devontae, if you're starting with Jalen Hurts, you could definitely, if you seen Devontae last week, I think he had like 80 yards and a tutty, caught 5 of 8 targets. So this week, if Washington can somehow put up some numbers, I think Philly, especially with Miles Sanders out, Howard banged up, I think they're going to get out there, throw the rock, especially because Washington is not good versus the pass. I think Devontae, 6,300, that's a good number for a wideout who could produce big numbers. So the next one we got Cooper Kupp or Odell Beckham Jr. Beckham, 5,700, Kupp, 9,500. If you can fit Kupp in, which I fit him in on a couple FanDuel lineups, taking on Baltimore, who 32nd versus the pass, 28th versus wideouts. I think this is a game where Beckham still got 8 targets in the last game, ended up catching the touchdown, didn't really produce much through the air, but is always going to have that opportunity to score touchdowns. So I think this is a game where it's going to be a shootout. It's going to hit the over. So lock in Kupp or Odell Beckham Jr. Kupp obviously guaranteed lock. And Beckham at 5,700. I think he's a solid play if you need to save money elsewhere. And the next 3 are just going to be a group of wide receivers. Dallas wideouts versus Arizona. Whether you got Gallup, Cooper, or CD, I think they're all viable starting options, especially in fantasy. Not so much DFS. Kind of hard to pick them. Kansas City wideouts and Kelsey. If you got Pringle, throw him out there. But Tyreek Hill, I think he rested last game because he knows. Granted, they were up big, but also this week, facing Cincy, this is a huge game. So Kansas City wideouts, I think Hill's going to produce. And San Fran wideouts, I think Ayuk and Debo guaranteed to produce in this game. If you got Ayuk, start him in your flex spot. Taking on Houston where they're going to put up numbers. And on to the tight end position. Mark Andrews, guaranteed lock. He's the top tight end this week, 7,400 versus the Rams. Top target on that team, guaranteed to produce. Zach Ertz, 5,200 at Dallas. Zach Ertz the past couple weeks, I think he has over 100 in back-to-back. Or he has like 14 plus fantasy points. He's the top target on that team ever since Hopkins went on IR. Granted, they got AJ Green, but dealing with injuries left and right for Arizona, they're gonna give up points. I think that Dallas lock, I think that's solid. Arizona just dealing with too many injuries, but Ertz, they're gonna have to put up points. They're gonna have to throw the ball. Connor's banged up. Edmonds out the backfield. He's probably solid because he could catch the rock. But Ertz, 5,200, guaranteed lock, solid fantasy play. Goddard at Washington. Goddard with a pretty shitty week last week if he started him, which I had to. It didn't blow me my week, thank God. But the 2 weeks before that definitely produced. So I think this week versus Washington, if Devontae Smith, if he doesn't turn up, it's guaranteed to be Goddard. And if Taylor Heineke, if he could put up some points, which they're going to have to throw the ball at home, I think that's a game where Goddard, he could definitely produce. Foster Moreau, 3,800 at Indy. Indy's 30th versus the tight end position. Indy's probably going to put up a decent amount of points running the rock with Jonathan Taylor. And with Darren Waller still out and on the COVID list, I think Foster Moreau, he's been a decent play. I think he has like 11 plus fantasy points per game over the past 2 weeks. So I think Foster Moreau, 3,800. If you need just a plug and play random flyer who could produce and score a tutty, Foster Moreau, that's that man right there. And these next two are just plays versus shitty defenses versus the tight end position. Gerald Everett versus Detroit, 4,100. And Higbee on the Rams, 4,000 at Baltimore. Baltimore's 28th versus the tight end position. Maybe Higbee gets a touchdown. And at 4,000, that's way more. If he gets a tutty and a couple catches, maybe like 40 yards, that's a way more than projected for a $4,000 player. So Everett at 4,100. Everett's been producing as of late. I think he's averaging like 5 targets over the past few games. In Detroit, 23rd versus the tight end position. I think that's a game where if we picked it, we would probably pick Detroit versus the spread, especially with Russell Wilson saying, oh, it's not going to be my last year in the NFL. And I hope it's not my last year in Seattle. So basically insinuating he's not going to be in Seattle next year. Those trade rumors last offseason, they put them to bed. They said, let's get to work. Guess what? This year, what are they, 5-10? Come on. Something's got to change in Seattle. It's definitely got to be a change of scenery over there. I think Detroit covers that, but that's a game where it's pretty tough to pick. I have Russell Wilson on my bench. Definitely not starting him. In defensive and special teams, last week we fucking nailed it with Philly. We started Philly in both my leagues. Took a pick to the house, which was huge. And that was one of the games where I thought that was going to be closer than expected. On my plus 2,000, it's probably like plus 2,200 odds. I don't know exactly because when you do it on the machine at Twin, I don't think it tells you the exact odds when it comes out, but that shit was dead lit. We would have won more if we would have picked Philly against the spread, which was one of our locks, but we were looking at the game. It was like, ooh, this is a defensive battle. We knew Glennon was out there, but he was like, defensive battle could be close, and it's a division matchup. Maybe they keep it close. Added them, I think, minus 550 money line. Should have took them with the spread, but they were one of the locks on there. Let's go. Past couple weeks have been crazy. Could we continue this run? Just possibly. So, defense and special teams. New England, 3,900 versus Jacksonville if you can afford it. Jacksonville only averaging 14 points per game this year. New England at home, guaranteed to lock in. I'm not too worried about their rush defense. Not playing well as of late. They probably won't give up that many yards on the ground. And if we're starting to Goombawale, that's for his pass catching ability. And these other two, Miami, on the road versus Tennessee. Now, Julio's out. Fucked me over in my fantasy league. One of the main reasons why I lost. But Julio out on the COVID list. Hope that man recovers. And already have Henry out. Grand Foreman, decent running back. They got a good flow in there in Tennessee. But I think Miami, they've been locking in defensively as of late. And they're only sitting 2,800. And probably because they're traveling on the road. But Tannehill, definitely going to turn over the ball on this one. I'm locking in Miami 2,800 on the road versus Tennessee. And the Chargers sitting only $3,100. Taking on Denver at home. Drew Lock, who's going to turn over the ball, whether or not gets taken to the house. You know the Chargers defense is going to get sacks with Bosa. Let's go. I think that might be the play of the week. That's what I'm starting in FanDuel. I think I have Miami over on DraftKings. So those are my best matchups of the week. Let's go. Let's go. To get into my Sunday locks for the soccer slate. Now, we're only throwing some flyers out there. Pick and choose. Make sure you pick wisely. Make sure you always bet wisely too. So, Premier League, 9 o'clock. We're rocking with Leeds versus Burnley. They were plus 100. They moved now to, I think, minus 105 or minus 100. See, minus 100 now. Just a little shift. Each team dealing with injuries, but I think Leeds at home, they beat Burnley 2 out of their last 3 meetings, and they drew in their last one. So I think Leeds at home, I think they get the job done. They're going to have too many attacking players for Burnley to keep up with. The next one we got Everton taking on Brighton, plus 200 odds for the draw. I think this is guaranteed. You see each team plus 175 to win. I think everything's aligning right there. Plus 200 odds for the draw. Everton, if they start Richarlison, we're sending them plus. If it's plus 400, I'm taking it. Oh, shit. Plus 550 to score the first goal. Let's go. We're sending that off for it. And for the draw on this one, I think Brighton, keep it close. I think Trossard, I think he's questionable. Dunk's out. But Brighton, they've been playing well as of late and can definitely hold Everton within a draw. I'm locking in the draw. Plus 200. Now, the next game, we took a correct score of Aston Villa to beat Brentford on the road 2-1. That was at plus 900 odds. Hopefully that's a hitter. But that would also require Aston Villa plus 140 to win. And the over 2.5, which is at plus 110. We aren't sending them out as locks. But Aston Villa, they could very easily get that victory on the road. The next one, guaranteed lock. In the EFL Championship, Blackburn at home versus Huddersfield. Now, we look for certain stats, right? I'm taking the over 2.5 in this game. That's hit in 5 straight meetings between these two teams. And with the over 3.5 at plus 250. Now, the added market bets have been hitting left and right as of late. And with them averaging 4.4 goals over their last 5 meetings, over 3.5, plus 250 odds, I think that's hell of a good value right there. We just hit West Ham yesterday morning. I think it was plus 290. Plus 290 odds for the over 3.5. The game ended up hitting 5 goals. In the game between West Ham and Crystal Palace, which Crystal Palace, granted, they were missing some players, but West Ham, full lineup out there. Guaranteed hitters all over. I'm going to also lock in the over 3.5 in this one. Plus 250 odds. Let's get it. And for the next couple locks, to end the show, put a little bow on this shit in the holiday season. What's up with y'all? 12:30, La Liga. Huge games. Real Betis versus Celta Vigo. Over 2.5, sitting at -130. That's hit in 7 out of their last 10 meetings. With Real Betis, we always see goals from them. Nabil Fekir, he's out. Fekir. He's out for them. But Aspas, he should start for Celta Vigo. I think this is a game where both teams dealing with the COVID right now. They're going to have formation changes, tactics all switched up. It's going to be goals left and right. In the 3 o'clock game, Mallorca taking on Barcelona. Now, Barcelona traveling on the road. I think that might be a little sketchy. This is the post-Messi era, so be a little skeptical about the over-unders. But usually I just stay away from the 3.5. But you see a 2.5 spread with Barcelona and Mallorca, where Mallorca give up goals. And Barcelona dealing with injuries left and right now, but they have depth. They're going to be able to score goals. And with the over-under sitting at 2.5, -110 odds, basically even to hit the over, I'm locking it in. Over 2.5, that has hit in 6 out of their last 7 meetings. And the over 3.5 has hit in 4 straight. So take the over 3.5 if you want. It's probably around, what? Probably around like +225. Let's just see, +230 maybe. Oh, it's at +250 also. So that means the over switched to +100. Oh, it's at +105 now. That's guaranteed to hit. And that's only shifted down like that. We'll take a closer look at the injuries before we wrap this up. This game's at 3 o'clock. Look at each team. How many people out for Mallorca? 8 people out for Mallorca. Barcelona, do they even play this game tomorrow? 16 people not playing. Xavi's going to have to pull something out of nowhere. But I think there's going to be goals left and right. With all those players out, I think it's just going to be a back and forth open game. And Mallorca might be thinking they could pull something from that game, especially Barcelona so depleted right now. So locking the over 2.5 in that one. And that wraps it up, covering every game for this NFL Week 17. Hopefully, we just walk in that motherfucker, hit the right numbies, hit another parlay in 3 out of the last 4 weeks. Let's go. Hit us all over. And where's JB on the beat? Let's get it. Let's get it rocking on this Sunday. Turn that up. And make sure you stay tuned. You're liking, subscribing. It's High Stakes Takes back with another.